The words are coming out faster than the sentences allow.
All right.
Hello, I'm Carl, and this is Pro Cycles Tech Talk. Today we're going to review lowering your motorcycle, what lowering links do, what lowering the forks do, the do's and don'ts, the pluses and minuses of all this. We are aware that today's dual sport bikes are tall, and it's difficult for a lot of folks to get your feet on the ground, especially if you're off-road and you got to dab, you got to paddle along the way. Makes it difficult. A common approach to correcting this is lowering the motorcycle. We want to let you know what lowering the motorcycle actually does. Now, the most common approach is to just get some lowering links, take out your stock dog bones, put in the new lowering links, and it lowers the rear of the bike, whatever it says. 1-inch lowering links are going to lower the chassis 1 inch. In reality, that's what it does. It only lowers the frame 1 inch. It's still going to be the same shock, still going to be the same spring, but things have changed. The dynamics have changed because the lowering links change the fulcrum point for the pivot of the linkage on the shock. So you end up, the first thing you end up with is you get a little bit more wheel travel. If you had like 9 inches of wheel travel in the back, the lowering links are going to get you to like 9.5, 10 inches of wheel travel. Also, the other thing, because it's a little bit more leverage back there, it makes the spring behave like it's of a lesser rating. It's still the same spring, still the same shock, still go up and down like they should, but it's easier to compress that spring with lowering links. So if you had like a stock spring and you added lowering links, it's going to make it a really soft rear end. So adding the lowering links is going to increase the wheel travel. We've made the wheel 1 inch closer to the inside of the rear fender. We've made it easier to compress it, and we've added a little bit of length to there, so it becomes real possible for the rear tire to contact the inside of the rear fender. Not that it's going to happen all the time. We just want you to be aware of that it's going to happen. Some of the shocks, like we could get the ones from Cogent, will be 1 inch lower. We like that a lot. That's a much safer, a much smarter approach to get a 1 inch lower shock. That way all the linkage is going to be the same, the wheel travel still remains the same, it's just limiting how much that shock body is. It lowers it in a much more acceptable manner of lowering the shock instead of swapping out the linkage. So we're good there. We want to make sure you understand that. That's a good way to approach it. We understand you may have to use lowering links, and we got them for a variety of bikes from a variety of manufacturers. You may have to use lowering links. We just want you to understand what actually happens with it. Now, if you do lower the back, you gotta lower the front. We gotta make it match. We don't want the bike to all of a sudden sit lower in the back where it's gonna be like a chopper effect. That really changes your steering, affects that a lot. We wanna swap out or switch the front. We wanna lower that. And again, the most acceptable manner is everyone just slides their fork tubes up about 1 inch inside the fork tubes. We wanna match the front and the rear, how much they lowered. We could take measurements off of a motor mount to the ground, to the swing arm pivot off the ground, whatever it is stock. When you add the lowering link, we want to match it up again and lower the front to match. Now, the beauty of lowering the front, or an advantage, is there's no monkey motion going on. There's no linkage or anything. It just lowers the front. Now, when you lower the front also, we're making that front tire about 1 inch closer to the inside of the fender also. But usually for whatever the front travel is, a lot of the manufacturers give you a little bit of fudge factor from fully extended to fully compressed. The top of the tire to the fender, you got about 1 inch, 2 inches worth of space there already. And so lowering 1 inch is usually, check your clearance, but lowering 1 inch is usually a safe way to go if you're only doing 1 inch. The other reason we like to make sure we balance the front and the rear lowering is we don't want the motor to sit favored to the back. When you're sitting at idle, a lot of the oil is going to gravitate to the back of the cases. Could create a dry situation up front where you don't want that. We want to make sure we keep the motor balanced, sit at the same plane it was as stock. That's a good thing to check. So a lot of the manufacturers, like I said, will offer a 1 inch lower shock, and that's a better way to go. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel and newsletter. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And remember, your adventure begins here.